Hello everyone, welcome to YK Reviews. Today's video is going to be all about Chucky Season 2 as we're approaching Chucky Season 3 coming out later on today. Now this video is an older video, I recorded it back in November of last year, so you're going to see a completely different setup with a calendar from last year, a couple of like old school Legos that I had, no shelf, no nothing like that. So it's like one of my older videos, so go easy on me. I was still fresh and new to the YouTube scenery here. But I hope you enjoyed this in-depth spoiler review of Chucky Season 2 while I give my thoughts and my breakdown of the show of Season 2, albeit being a little bit sick as well at the time, but I just found it in the archives. I wanted to edit it and throw it out there. It's been a year in the making, this video, so hope you enjoy. And also let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below for Season 2 and what you want for Season 3. But let's start the video here. So with the opening of Chucky Season 2, like you had the opening sequences. We start off where we picked up from Season 1. You've got Andy driving the truck filled with the good guy dolls, and we also get introduced to Tiffany's doll. She comes back and she's pointing the gun at Andy. You've got like these three good guy dolls interacting with one another. You've got a bold Chucky now interacting with like the other Chuckies there. They're making fun of each other. And so what we see with Andy is that he starts driving the van off of a cliff, try and get these Chuckies done and gone forever. And I really found it hilarious just watching these Chuckies as the van's driving off the cliff, the explosion, you just see these Chuckies flying everywhere. I thought it was really hilarious. And once again, I have to speak about the opening credits. Like what's really fascinating and what's really fun with this show is the opening credits. You have so much different things when it comes to like the opening credits. Each episode has a different animation, a different thing flying in to make the shape of like the word Chucky. I really like that direction. I'm so glad they continued it from Season 1. And so then after this opening sequences, we now start moving into what we see with Devon and Jake, what they're up to. And I've got to say, like from the first season, the build up between like Jake, Devon, you've got Lexi, and I really like how they've built up these characters when Lexi from the beginning of the show started off as a complete psychopath with what she did at the Halloween party, dressing up as Jake's dead dad, to then eventually like starting to root for her and her becoming one of the core characters, one of the three members. And I really liked what they did with that. And also like, Junior being killed in the final episode of Season 1, having that interaction between Jake, Junior and Lexi. I thought they really wrote these characters well. So now you've got to the point of like we're seeing what they're up to now after the whole events of Season 1. And you see that Devon's living with like this family because Chucky killed his mother in Season 1. And that's another thing too which I really liked in Season 1 is that nobody was safe. Chucky could kill anybody, and the fact that he killed Lexi's dad, Devon's mum, Jake's dad, Chucky did not hold back. Nobody was safe. I really liked that aspect of Season 1. So now you've got Devon living with like a family. You have Jake living in a different state. He's coming across and he goes to visit Devon. They have that little kiss in front of Jake's new family, in front of his new brother. And you have then Chucky, the twisted guy, messing with doing the little phone calls. They eventually go meet up with Lexi. You have Chucky arriving with Jake's adopted little brother holding a bomb, and then that whole sequences of waiting for Lexi to come down the stairs so that Chucky can blow up everybody. Lexi taking forever, and the reason why she's taking forever is because she's doing drugs over the course of the season. But then as soon as like Lexi comes down, you have like this little fight going on, but then eventually Chucky blows up the house, killing Jake's adopted little brother in the process. Them having to go to this house. I can't recall what you exactly call this type of house, but the three of them, Jake, Devon, Lexi, have now been sent to this house, especially where Chucky grew up. So like a nice little hint to that, and that's essentially the scene and the location of where this whole season plays out basically when it comes to Jake, Devon, Lexi and Chucky. This season was sort of split into two. You had this section of like what's going on in the house and the characters, Lexi, Devon, Jake, Chucky and all the other characters in there. And then in the other portion of the show, you've got Tiff and Nika and that storyline. And what I really liked about Season 1 is that it really had that feel of Child's Play movie, like Child's Play 1, 2 and 3. It had that feel of it, it had that intensity, it had that build up of like great sequences and great character building and great kills throughout the show. I really like that aspect. However, my problem with this season, as fun and great of a season this was, it had a lot of that tendency of Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, like especially for example in episode 5 when you had that sequences of Tiff, Nika, you get introduced to Glenn/Glenda, and also you get introduced like in episode 5 of these other characters, which I'll be completely honest, I had no idea who half the characters were in real life. My wife had to like explain to me some of the characters. One was from like Real Housewives. You also had Jennifer Tilly's real life sister in there, but just these types of characters, like I just had no idea who they were, like what connection they had or what they bring to the table. So then you've got that, and also at the end of the episode too, you had Chucky kill this WWE superstar wrestler Liv Morgan. That's what I mean when it has that Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, like comedy type vibes, which I just didn't think was necessary. And that whole episode 5, just like the whodunit thingy, just felt very off pace and just completely like a U-turn of what the show is doing and like what they're building up towards. But when it comes to like Tiff and Nika's storyline, I liked what they were doing. I really enjoyed the build up as well. As like the first couple of episodes, you're getting that build up towards the reveal of Glenn and Glenda, and me and my wife just speculating, oh, it might be like the teacher from the previous season, or wonder who it could be. And I really liked that reveal. Eventually Tiff kills like this police officer, and that's when you reveal Glenn and Glenda coming in, and the storyline with Tiff just spiraling out of control, losing complete control. When it comes to Nika as well, like she has her like locked in like this bedroom, and I really wasn't a fan of them chopping off Nika's like arms and legs. I didn't like what they were doing with that. I really liked Nika as a character. I thought she was fantastic in the build up in season 1. Really great character and really great actress, how she's like able to twist from like playing her dad to then playing Nika. Just really great range, and I have to give such high credit for her for the way she like portrayed Nika and Chucky throughout the show. But I just wasn't a fan of like them chopping off her arms and legs. I felt like defeated the character a little bit, because you have her like being locked up in the wheelchair, trapped by Tiffany, and you've got then that like storyline here of how Nika has been working with Glenda to try and like get out. That you have the way of like Nika escaping, like they give her the arms. You have the Chucky side trying to kill Tiffany, you have the Nika side escaping, and you've got what I found was a brilliant escape of having Nika wheel out of the house, wheel out of like the driveway, get into the van with Glenn and Kyle driving away. I really like that sequences, and even that little scene where you have Nika voicing Chucky with the gun, just fantastic like little switches as she does, was really, really great. And then you also find out that Jennifer Tilly in the Chucky world is also still alive as well, and she's also the one that's been like feeding the information to Tiff, how she's able to like keep hold of this bubble, this story going, how she's able to find that information. Little side note too, I really liked how Jennifer Tilly's watching herself with the movie with Jim Carrey. Just found that really fascinating and really hilarious. But that also had a lot of like campiness vibes to it, which is something that held this season back a little bit. A lot of the scenes were fantastic and were really great to watch. I really liked Glenn and Glenda. Like I feel like their introduction was really well like weighted. It does make you appreciate Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky a little bit more with like what they did in this show. But again, like the campiness, especially in like episode 5, some of the things that they did, some of like the lines that they had, just held the season back a little bit. But when it comes to like that aspect, that's what they were doing in that side of the series. But then as we move into like the main plot, the main like story that was driving throughout the show, you get introduced to like the characters in this house. So you've got Devin, Lexi and Jake in this house. You get introduced to the character of Nadine, which her character arc I really liked. I was a huge fan of Nadine. I think they built her up so well, but you kind of knew what was going to happen to her. You kind of like sensed what her fate was as the episodes were progressing, as you were enjoying her more, especially like as she was interacting with the good Chucky, which we'll also delve into as well. And then you also get introduced to like this bully that used to like bully Lexi, and that's why she became the way she is. Little moments with that. You also then get introduced to like the nurses and the nuns in this house, and then you have Father Bryce, who looks so familiar because he is Jake's dad, Jake's uncle, and now Father Bryce. And what was frustrating about his character is just the way he had that deniability factor throughout the whole show. And then once they did get the reveal, for him, I just felt like it was kind of underwhelming how the reveal came about for him when he realized Chucky was real. But just throughout the whole show, like throughout the whole season, he just kept pitting Jake versus Devon, having Jake be manipulated into like believing into like the religious aspect, having Devon like be the one that's fighting against this. Anything that happens when it comes to like Chucky being involved, whether it's like killing one of the nuns or fighting with a different Chucky and all that kind of stuff, it's always just like him denying it, him bringing up religion, him forcing these kids to like read the Bible and like that's what they have to do, rather than like try and get a better understanding of like what the hell he just witnessed, which was just so frustrating to watch when it comes to that. And then multiple Chuckies are now being introduced. You've got bold Chucky, you've got the muscly buff Chucky, you've got a Chucky that turns good. And what's frustrating too is that these Chuckies were being introduced only to be like killed off very quickly. Like you didn't get a chance to like really enjoy or explore this Chucky. Like for example, you have good Chucky who basically became good Chucky because he was sort of like the soldier sent in, taking pictures, gathering all this information there, to then be like turned by Jake, Devon, Lexi, Nadine, having them strapped in, like having him watch these like horror movies, just messing with his mind to the point where he like puked, vomited, turned into this good guy doll, which is a really nice little storyline. As you have this good guy Chucky splitting Devon and Jake, where they're basically having this argument and they're fighting basically throughout the whole season. You have Jake really believing that Chucky has turned good versus Devon, who just doesn't believe a word that Chucky's saying, doesn't believe he's good, especially after like what they've been through in season 1, which was a really nice, well-written storyline between the two of them. And you get introduced to him. Then you get introduced to like buff Chucky and muscly Chucky, who comes in to like stop good guy Chucky, and they had this little back and forth beating each other up, which was a nice sequence, was a nice moment. I really enjoyed seeing them beat each other up, but then it was just moved on so quickly. Good Chucky basically kills muscly Chucky by throwing the knives, having him sort of like this crucifixion type murder, but it was just, I believe he lasted an episode and a half, I think. Then you get introduced to Bold Chucky, and he sort of just gets killed off in one episode. Like you have him introduced at the end of an episode where you reveal that he's the one that captured Andy and has been torturing him, to then the next episode he gets killed off. And that was a thing with not just the Chuckies but other characters too, like the bully. He sort of dies quickly in the season. You don't really get that build up. They don't spend too much time with these characters, with these plots, and you could essentially say that's a good thing because you're not focusing too much on that story element and not wasting too much time on that. It's getting straight to the point. But then when it comes to like these Chuckies and these really great introductions, I really like the look of Bold Chucky and his character. I really liked Buff Chucky. I thought he looked fantastic, but you just don't get to spend that time with them and they just die off so quickly. It's the same thing when you introduce Dr. Mixer into this. Like she gets introduced as this, we find out, is Chucky's therapist. She gets introduced and she's the one that's recommended Devon, Lexi and Jake to go into like this house, and it was a plot, it was a ploy this whole time. She was working with Bold Chucky. They are the ones that were torturing Andy, but then once she's like revealed to be the villain, and next episode she sort of dies. And so then you get to basically the second last episode, which for me just felt like the finale, because you now have this plotline steering in towards Chucky exorcism. So you've got basically Andy being brought back by Lexi and Devon, who find him and rescue him. They come back to like this house. That's where you see Father Bryce realizing that this was all real. So you've got all these characters. You've got Chucky, you've got Andy, you've got Kyle, Glenda, Nika, Father Bryce, Dr. Mixer, Jake, Devon, all together. And this episode, what I really liked is that throughout the episode, because everybody has to be pure to have this exorcism work, everybody's having this little confession, especially Andy's confession revealing that he doesn't know what he would do without Chucky. They've been back and forth for so long. I really like that. And also Glenda's one just revealing that she killed somebody right at the end of her confession. Really nice touch. And then you get to the exorcism, and it had that campiness vibe of Seed of Chucky, but it was just this type of scene was so fun to watch. Chucky just being a complete dick to everyone, especially Devon, just reiterating how he killed his mum, just pissing off everybody, and then Chucky floating in the air, coming back down, basically having Father Bryce just go complete crazy and having his head explode. Like, the whole sequences, that whole exorcism scene was just so fun. And the explosion of the head, campy and fun as it was, CGI wasn't that great, and like there's so many different camera shots of it repeating the scene over and over again just did not help. But Father Bryce now dead, Chucky being drowned by Jake, one of the nurse who, quick little side note, her storyline plot with like one of the buff Chuckies she thought was God resurrected and just was completely head over heels with him, thinking that he's like the next savior and that kind of stuff. She has Lexi at gunpoint. Glenda stabs her in the eye. This leads to Dr. Mixer basically getting Chucky and them escaping together. And you've got Andy running after them, killing Chucky by shooting him. We think that Chucky the doll is dead, completely gone, as we find out that this was the last good guy doll. And that's when I really thought this was a finale. This was like the end of the episode, because then you've also got like at the end with Nika, her soul gets transferred to Chucky's body basically, so like the souls have been split now. Nika's back to her original self. She meets up with Tiff, about to shoot Tiff, only for Glenn to jump in the way and save Tiff because of everything that they put her through. And obviously she never meant to shoot Glenn, but him jumping in the way of like saving Tiff, and also with Tiff as well, like that side plot. Once we find out Jennifer Tilly is in the Bride of Chucky doll, she's been there for a long time. Once again, we get introduced to her, only for her to get killed off in the next episode because she's in the car with Tiff and with Glenda. She runs out of the car only to get hit by a truck, so that doll is completely gone, done. Tiffany has no more dolls at her disposal. Chucky, we think that has no more dolls as well. That was the last good guy doll, only to come to find out that he transferred his soul to Dr. Mixer now. And so then you get to like the finale of the episode, the finale of the show. And basically there was sort of just one main plot when it comes to the finale of the episode, because quickly discussing, now you've got Glenn and Glenda transferring their souls into the doll due to like Glenn getting shot, Glenda needing the doll as well. And I really liked that sequences of like how Tiff helped them, brought the doll, and I loved how the voice actor from The Seed of Chucky played the doll. And so now that they're transferred, they're back into the soul. I really thought it was just going to be Glenda as a person and Glenn as the doll, so that you have them two as a dynamic, but you find out that they're going to London. So I really liked how they wrapped up that, and in the future if they ever bring them back, I cannot wait for that now. Like, they really made me enjoy the Glenda storyline. And so then you've got the plot of the final episode when we come to find out that Dr. Mixer had a good guy doll, so Chucky transfers his soul to the good guy doll. We come to find out that he's going to go after Devin, Lexi and Jake, where they're spending Christmas at Lexi's house. So you've got the settings of Lexi's mum, Lexi, Devin, Jake, and Caroline, who's Lexi's sister. Lexi's mum does this Instagram where she shows that she's got a Bride of Chucky doll, Tiffany, Jennifer Tilly doll that she had. So Tiffany sees this, she sees that there's that doll there that she needs to steal. So you've got the settings of Chucky going to like Lexi's mum's house. You've got Tiffany going to Lexi's mum's house for different purposes here. And that's when you've got basically the most brutalist kill I've seen in a while. You've got Father Bryce exploding, and now you've got Chucky using a chainsaw just splitting Lexi's mum in half, killing another parent of this show. And the way it was just done, where like Chucky goes from the head all the way down and just splitting the mum in half, was just disgusting and brutal. You've got Lexi killing Chucky, just destroying it. You've got Jake and Devin like working together to try and kill Tiffany, only for like a really weird twist of having Lexi's sister Caroline basically explain that she's been told by Chucky that she's adopted, that she's not really like her sister. She works with Tiffany, and then they basically escape with the doll together. And that's when you basically get to the final sequences here. So you've got Tiffany with Caroline in, I believe it was New York. You've got Nika also like spying, wanting to kill Tiffany. They're not done with that. And then you've got basically the doll is revealed to be Chucky. So Tiffany can't transfer her soul to the doll, as Chucky is revealed to be the doll in itself. And then you have the final shot of the show, Chucky basically killing off Tiffany. But obviously, as we know, I don't think he's going to kill her, because even the final sequences of Chucky sitting on a little throne going through all the kill count, Tiffany did not show up there. So Tiffany's not dead. Overall, this was a really fun season. I'm enjoying the Chucky series. Chucky season 1, season 2 has so far been a great hit for me. I'm loving what they're doing with it, and I think it's such a fantastic show and a really, really fun time to watch. If you're a fan of Chucky, even if you're not a fan of Bride of Chucky or Seed of Chucky, I think you'll have such a fantastic time with this show. And like Glenn, Glenda, Tiff, Nick, Nika, it's a really fun like way of what they're doing with the dialogue, with the scenes, with the storyline. It's a fun time to watch, and I think you'll have a really good time with this. For me, I cannot wait for season 3. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm having such a fun time with this. I'm really enjoying like Child's Play, one of my favorite franchises, continuing on here. So if you've seen the show, let me know down in the comment section below what you thought, what you like, what you don't like. But this is YK Reviews. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on future videos here. Tons of content coming your way here.